Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to Games Cage Talks, the weekly podcast where I bring whoever the hell I want, really. Usually a content creator, a friend out there, whoever is doing something cool on the internet and in the world. For today, I have a very special guest we have for episode 6, Mr. VIRUM.
What's good, everybody? I'm VIRUM. I'm a Smash commentator, game player, and all-around chill dude.
Chill dude. This is our first time doing our call on our own here. Usually it's always been on Japan time.
Indeed.
Yes, sir. That's why I'm excited for this, because like I obviously I know you. I know like your content. I know of your existence, and I've heard your voice for like years. But getting to know you a bit here is gonna be fun. It's gonna be a chill show. Exactly. So, alright, V. So let's say we always talk about little Timmy, right? What if little Timmy sees you on the street and asks you exactly like what you do? What's your thing? What do you tell him?
So I'm mainly two things. One, as I mentioned before, I'm a Smash Bros. Commentator. I do commentary for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate events. I've been doing so for the past few years. I haven't really been commentating too much as of late because there are no offline tournaments.
Yeah.
Obviously. But the other main thing that I am, and this is actually really my primary profession, is I am a 3D animator. I've been doing animation for video games for the past 4 years now, 3.5, 4 years.
How old are you,
that's
by the way?
I am 25.
You're 25. Okay, so you started like doing it like late, which is really cool. Because usually people that like that, I guess like when they'll go to school or whatever, they'll do that like younger. But like you started it at 21. Was it because of school, or was it just like a passion you did on your own at home?
It was from school. So I left uni at 21. I mean, I've been animating for a long time, but I've been working in animation. I've had it as a job since 2016.
Oh, that's really cool. Then what type of stuff do you animate usually? Like what are things you've done, things you've worked on?
Characters in video games mainly. So prior to properly working in animation, I did Smash mods. So I was one of the animators for Project M.
Oh, that's really cool. You worked on Project M? I didn't even know that. Which characters did you animate there?
A good bunch of them. Just various bits and pieces here and there over a few years. I also helped work on another platform fighter which came to Steam as early access a couple of years ago called Icons.
Right.
May or may not have heard of that.
I've heard.
Yeah. And then currently I'm working for Heart Machine on the game that was teased yesterday at the PS5 conference called Solar Ash.
Oh, so you're working, because you told me I know this before. You've worked on Hyper Light Drifter, right? If I was correct.
I didn't work on that game since I only joined the team over the past few months. I started work on this game in February.
That's really cool. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, so you had like technically you had kind of a team trailer debut here.
Yeah.
That's really exciting stuff. So you're working on like the character models in that game?
Yeah, I'm doing character animations for a bunch of things. I can't say specifically what because NDA stuff, but yeah. For
sure. That must be really cool. I'm sure like what is that like? So what's like the process of like getting a trailer to like a company like Sony? Do they like come to you guys? Do you like pitch it to them? Like what's the way that goes usually?
So it's a bit weird since I'm not exactly like high up in the company. I'm essentially a contractor, so I work remotely from home, and I'm pretty much just there to animate stuff for the game. I don't know too much about the internal details of like how Sony executives contact, all that stuff.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, it's like for doing, because you said like, so I guess so Project M was like your first. Well, wait, so you said basically for your modeling and the 3D work there, it's is that something you kind of like? How did you fall into that? Was that something you always wanted to do? Was there like a moment? Was like what's the story behind that? Because I always feel like most people that are doing this kind of stuff, I feel like it's something they didn't expect to do and then they go into it. So how did it go for you basically?
Well, I got into like Smash mods, Smash hacks and the like back in 2010, I want to say.
10, Jesus.
And I remember thinking, oh, it'd be really cool to be able to like make some kind of moveset or something. So I thought, no one's gonna make what I want, so I'll just do it myself. And then from there, I just kind of started to pick up other skills, mainly animating, and that's what I ended up focusing on.
Which program did you use? Because I did in university, I used a bit of Blender. I don't know if you used that or something else.
I've only used a little bit of Blender, and it was many years ago. But currently I use Maya, Autodesk Maya.
Right, yeah, that I've heard of too. That's really cool, yeah, because like when it comes to 3D modeling, it's such a it's harder than you'd think, because like I used to like I remember used to thinking in general, like when you're younger, you used to think it's like so much easier than you think it would be to make a game. But like then you not only have to animate the character, but you have to, like, people don't know this, right? It's like there's like a skeleton basically in your 3D model, right, to hold everything together, and then you gotta kind of pick the movement the character does and stuff, right?
Yeah, so the skeleton is typically called rig, and the rig is what animators use to move whatever they need to move, characters, objects, what have you, how they want to move them. Like being an animator, a 3D animator is like being a puppeteer in a sense, where you're posing the character in different ways across a kind of timeline, and then of course they do what you want them to do in that timeline.
And I was curious, yes, like, so let's say when a company asks you to make like a character for them, right? How do you know what animations you got to do? Do they give you like concept art? Do they tell you like how do you know how to do it right, or which specific like move? Like if you're doing it like, the right direction, it's like, is it usually art they give you, or what's the process with that?
Well, usually I will, in my position, I'll usually collaborate and communicate with the concept artists, to come up with key poses for stuff, for different actions, or I'll talk to the game designers and they'll give me a description of what they want the action to do. Usually it's just on like a sheet and stuff, and then I'll usually do like a first iteration, talk to my lead animator or whoever the lead artist I'm under is at the time, see how that looks, and then we kind of iterate from there. That's just my personal process. It's not the same for everybody, but
do you do
that's how I go about it.
The character shading too and stuff, or just like the 3D like model rigs and stuff? Like, do you
I literally just animate, so I just make the characters move.
Okay. Yeah, because people, that's really cool. Like, because people don't think about that often. Hey, there's someone that can just make the character move. Someone adds the texture. Someone adds like the hair. Someone adds like there's so many different like assets to it and stuff. What were you doing? What did you want to do before that? Like, what was like your journey to all this? Like before you were doing all this, what was like the OG path basically?
I'm honestly not sure, because I realized I wanted to do animation from when I was about 16.
Oh my god!
So I've prior to that, it was just kind of uncertainty, because I knew I liked art, and I was pretty decent at like maths. So I thought, where do I take a job from here?
Right, where do I get going from this place?
Do I become like a designer or an illustrator? And I ended up just going into animation.
Yeah, because like even me, like when I was younger, I knew, I always was like, oh, I want to work on games, I want to make a game and stuff. Then I got to like college, university, and I'm like, fuck, I hate coding. This sucks. I cannot stand this. I don't know if you've done any coding, but like that stuff drove me insane. It's like actually crazy that people can like do that.
Yeah, I've done a little bit, and it's tough.
It's hell yeah, because like if one code breaks something, like so many things just like fall apart.
Fix one problem and you just spawn like 10 more.
Yeah, exactly. I commend anyone that can do that stuff. But okay, so that's like basically your main thing, because I know you have Twitch and other stuff. So do you do a lot of that now, or just do you mainly do your 3D modeling work?
I just do stuff like Twitch. Twitch mainly. I just do at my own leisure. I don't take it particularly seriously. I just stream when I want to.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
And how did you come about meeting the Japan Time crew? Like, how did that gang all come together with you?
Ooh,
give us the story.
Gosh, because I've known those guys for I think since around the release of Smash for Wii U, Smash 3DS even.
Yeah. I feel like that was like a big time for a lot of people that suddenly became buddies.
Yeah, and I'd been watching Japan. I've been a fan for Japan Time for years. I wasn't a regular until like 2017 or 18, I want to say.
So for Smash Ultimate, basically.
Yeah, but I'm actually just trying to remember. I think it was a couple of them. Maybe I think it was Zeph that knew who I was via modding, and then I just kind of became friends with that group gradually, and various others as well.
Right. Okay, so that's cool that you were a fan too, and then you jumped in, right? That's like a really yeah. Even like I it's still like sometimes it's still surreal to me. Like I even think because 2 years ago today was the Everyone Is Here trailer for Smash Ultimate. And I remember like going nuts and like being so excited to see like what Japan Time you guys were gonna say about it and talk about it, and I would tune in, and it's still really weird to me to just be on that show very casually now. Like it's like a very it's obviously I think the first time I did it, I was like very nervous, very worried and stuff, but now it's like it feels like really chill and natural. The gang is like super cool.
Yeah.
They're very cool people there. But yeah, you were talking about commentating stuff, so I want to know about that, because like I feel like that's I don't get to I've never really talked to someone specifically about commentating. How did that start? Like where did that drive come from?
So I've been in the Smash community, competitive Smash community since around 2012.
Right.
And back then, well, I started doing like commentary for my local events back in 2014.
Right.
Back then, I'd say the overall landscape was very, very different to how it is now. You know, you could be an absolute random, hop on the mic, and you'd just be fine, right? And essentially, that's what I was. I hopped on the mic, and over time, I just kept doing it, and people, I got more and more accustomed to doing it, and it got to the point where I felt, comfortable and practice getting on the mic, so I gradually got more and more slots at bigger events. And I'd say my first notable break was probably in 2016 in Smash Wii U, where I was doing commentary at a European event towards the end of the year, and from there I kind of got noticed by American event organizers and other commentators, and then I went on to do Genesis the next year.
That's insane.
And then I've just been doing various events all worldwide since.
Well, I want to know, I'm really curious about this, because you think the thing about commentating, it's like playing the game is obviously nerve-wracking and stuff, but how is it commentating? Because I feel like with commentating, first of all, you can't do as many of the ums when you commentate. I feel like that's a big practice point, but I also feel how do you balance how do you learn how to commentate, basically? Because I feel like it is a learning process, right?
Yeah, so pretty much anything, a lot of it just comes down to doing it a lot. Generally listening to other good commentators, not just in the game you're trying to commentate, but in various other games as well. I actually don't listen to that much sports commentary, but when I do, there's clearly bits oh yeah, this is why this is good commentary. But I listen to a lot of fighting game commentary outside of Smash, and I always take little bits and pieces of information from that.
Right. Because you also being a commentator isn't just it's you have to basically know the game like crazy, right?
You have to know a lot, but the most important thing I think is to be able to communicate not necessarily your love of the game that you're commentating to the audience, but be able to communicate in such a way such that you're able to get an audience invested in whatever you're watching, or whatever they're watching.
Yeah, like I guess you have to find a way to balance, like, yeah, because I always find this like an interesting balance, right? Because you have to basically be informative, but you also have to be entertaining. And I don't know how do you go about that? Like, how do you go from like making like just like, you know, when because usually you're usually co-commentating, right? That's usually how it goes.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty much always in pairs. Sometimes slightly larger, like 3.
Right. And it's like, yeah, I think because there's a lot of elements, right? You have to be really in tune with who you're commentating. Have you ever been like, is that like a weird thing to do? Like if you're like commentating with someone you've never done it with, and like you have to adjust to how you two commentate together? Because I feel like there's good pairs out there that really mesh together.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think when it comes to that sort of thing, it's important to just communicate with whoever you're commentating with prior, because they'll have for major events anyway, they'll always have commentary schedules that come out beforehand, and as long as you kind of get to know at least a little bit about the person that you're commentating with, it becomes a lot easier to more effectively communicate on the mic. And like every time you commentate, almost every time you commentate, there's going to be like a first time that you're commentating with someone.
Right.
So
yeah, because how do you like? It's like I feel like one of the hardest things to do is like not talk over each other, like not do the thing where you both say something at the same time. Oh no, go ahead, because obviously you can't do that when you're like live commentating.
Yeah. Over time, particularly when you're used to commentating with somebody, you just understand their overall rhythm in terms of how they speak, and you understand generally how much they'll want to say with a statement. And from there, it's kind of just understanding the audio cues, like listening into their own voice and understanding, right, okay, they're going to finish what they're saying here, so I'm going to jump in and bounce off that statement or whatever.
No, yeah, okay, that's really good. Yeah, exactly. Like that's it's like it feels like such an interesting and different process. And like, is it because it's like I feel like, yeah, like you said, like it's not like it's already, like I said, it's nerve-wracking to play the game, but I feel like commentating and not slipping up on a certain word or a certain thing, it's like, and I feel like most are good. Like I feel like I personally haven't like heard too many like bad commentators, because usually like I think if you know a decent amount about the game. And yeah, I was gonna ask you before, like, yeah, how do you balance like using like talking about like literally, because I've seen many commentators like D1 or whatever, where they make their funny comments and then they get into like talking about specifics of the game, of the character and all that stuff. Like how do you balance when to mention what's like aspect of a match, basically?
It always depends on the given context. Depends on whatever's happening in the match and whatever your co-commentator said. It's kind of difficult to just like pick out, oh yeah, I'd say funny things at this moment or break down plays at this moment. It's it always depends on context.
And do you think, I
guess
yeah, what are you gonna say? Yeah, go for it.
I guess in terms of for me personally, since I'm more focused on breaking down gameplay and analyzing things, I think it would come down to doing that a bit more in depth when there's a moment that's like a higher level exchange that's very easily missable for people that don't quite play the game or understand the game at that level. So it's nice to be able to just slow down, break that moment down for a bit without spending too much time on it. That's always an important thing. If you spend too much time on certain moments, you could easily miss other moments upcoming in the match. So you have to be concise with what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess you have to quickly adapt, because sometimes you'll be talking about something that a big just twist happens in the middle of the match, and you just gotta adapt to what's going on. How is it like? Because I feel like obviously commentating, like, because you mainly commentate Smash, right? Have you commentated other fighting games?
I've only commentated Smash. Smash. I've done like a tiny little bit of commentary for like a couple of extra things, but it's like a very minuscule amount, so I'm pretty much just a Smash commentator.
And how is commentating Smash? Like, is there like a do you think like against other games there's like a really big difference in how what you got to commentate on and know? Because I feel like obviously Smash is such a different kind of fighting game. There's so many different aspects you gotta talk about during the match.
I'd say one of the tough things about commentating Smash in general is how kind of freeform it is comparative to certain other fighting games. Just like there are so many tiny minute things that theoretically you'd need to know that it's impossible to expect any commentator to know them. So we often have to operate with a lot of kind of estimates. Like, let's say, I don't know, somebody's at 60% and they hit somebody from center stage with a move that looks like it can KO at 100%. While unlike in a fighting game where you know exactly how much damage something is going to do to take down their health bar, in Smash, well, they could either move badly so they end up dying, or they didn't have enough rage to get the KO or stuff like that. So there's a lot of kind of free form, hard to predict details in Smash.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's how I was saying before. Like I feel like with any, I mean, any for sure, like any fighting game. But yeah, like with Smash, you definitely have to not only play a lot, I guess, to just like know what the characters do, but you gotta have to watch and understand a lot of matches, because you'll know like, okay, this back throw is clearly gonna KO this opponent. Okay, this up smash is just gonna end this right here. Like there's so many. Obviously, every fighting game has that, but yeah, because Smash has like a stage and people are getting knocked down different directions, it can be like crazy to think of how to be certain of moments that are ending a match or not. And yeah, so basically, like, yeah, when you were have you just commented Ultimate? Have you ever commented like a Melee or like Brawl or something, or has it always been Smash 4 and Ultimate? And Project M,
yeah, I've only done a bit of Project M commentary. Aside from that, it's been all Smash 4 and Ultimate.
Right. And I know we've talked about it like a bit on podcasts and stuff, but how is it like usually having to work with Nintendo for commentators? Are they usually like watching who's specifically commentating? Are they like, is there any kind of conversation that goes on there, or not really? Like, does Nintendo get involved with who's commentating an event, even if they're not heavily involved with it?
I don't think so. No. Nintendo just handle the commentator. Like, in terms of that kind of thing, Nintendo just handle commentators for their own events.
Right. Yeah.
But in terms of getting commentary rosters for events not directly handled by Nintendo, would be down to the event organizers or whoever is sorting out commentary for that specific event.
Right. Okay. That's cool. I like that. That's interesting. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because I've always wanted to know. It's like I feel like in general, I think commentating is like a different kind of craft that I feel like it's like do you think it's like underrated, or what do you think about it? Like, do you think do a lot of people even try it, or is it really like a niche?
I think more people are definitely trying it now, but it's tough to get into because let's say you compare to being like a top level player, for instance. You becoming a top level player is just down to you. Like you put in the time, you put in the effort, you try to become as good as possible with as much practice as possible.
Right.
Well, there are other factors as well, like the environment that you're in, but like you could if you put in all that work, all the necessary work to become a top level player, you'll become a top level player.
Right. With
commentary, it's a bit more awkward because you need to be marketable as a commentator, because it's not enough to just do the work. You have to kind of define yourself, have that kind of niche, so that event organizers will notice you and want you to commentate the event, because people like your value as a top player is dependent on how you place. Your value as a commentator is dependent on how people like you.
That's true.
Which is much less out of your control. Which is much less in your control.
That's really true. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's saying it's like I feel like the people who really want to commentate, like I'd say I guess you'd have to have the voice for it. You have to have a passion, right? Because you could know a lot about the game and talk about it, but I guess if you're not entertaining alongside that, you will not, because I've heard you, right, like when you'll get like, because like in calls, like you are very like, you know, calm and chill, but I've seen you commentate and then you like go wild at a certain moment and all that stuff. It's like it's a very different tone. Yeah, I never thought about that really. I guess you really do, and that one really factors in personality and like just voice specifically.
Yeah,
that's really cool. And yeah, because I feel like the most notable ones I know are D1. I've heard you before. There's the one who he always does Street Fighter. He's been doing it for like ever since I feel like I've existed. And yeah, no, I feel like do you know what I'm talking about? He like Asian dude. He does like almost every master.
Oh, James Chen.
Yes, yeah, James Chen. Yeah, exactly. He's been doing it for so long. It's like, yeah, you can. There's definitely ones you recognize, but I usually only recognize the voice because I'm usually never looking at the name and stuff. But do you think it's like feasible to only be a commentator? Or should you always have like a backup thing out there?
In terms of doing it for a living, absolutely have something else to do alongside it, because unless you're commentating something super big and you're an established commentator for that, like let's say if you were commentating League, you could probably get away with just commentating League, because I'm pretty sure Riot has like salaries for their commentators. Don't quote me on this, I'm not 100% certain, but if you're doing fighting game commentary, you definitely need to do something alongside that, whether it be content creation or just some other kind of job like me. Yeah, because there's not nearly enough money in the market, in the industry, to do just commentary. Right,
because for commentary, how does it work? Does it work by like you get a certain like, do you get paid by hour for commentary? Or do you get paid for the event of like, okay, we're giving you this amount for this event, basically?
It depends, but typically it's for the weekend or for the event.
Okay.
Yeah.
However long the event is. Okay, that makes the most sense there. Yeah, I mean, like you were saying of like, I mean, I guess in a good way. I mean, this kind of, I mean, it really, other than like you said, the big ones, I feel like that even applies to people who play competitive fighting games, right? Like, I feel like unless you are one of the elites, just hinging your career on like being a competitive player is really hard, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you look at a lot of the top players in in basically any Smash game, any fighting game, whatever. A lot of what they earn is from streaming. Like Nairo is obviously probably one of the best examples. You know, he has thousands of Twitch subscribers, a very consistent stream. He does like 5 days a week, and that's where the bulk of his money comes from. But at the same time, at his core, he is a competitor and he loves competing. So, you know, sometimes he has to kind of concede some of that Twitch money in order to go compete at an event. Yeah. And even if he doesn't win, you know, it's still important for him to maintain that kind of status as that top level player, because that's a big reason as to why a good chunk of people watch him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess that must be like a really hard thing to balance, right? Because you have to. Because I feel like, you know, it's already hard to play a fighting game, but to do it like, even if you're like live stream training your stuff, like having to talk to chat and like read whatever donation pops on screen or whatever, and try to focus on the game, like it's really hard. I mean, that's even me, like, I mean, I'm not a competitive player, but even when I play fighting games on stream, it's definitely difficult because I wanna give focus to like the chat and who's talking and stuff, but at the same time, like I wanna play well in the match, like not like be like a shitty player. So it must be really hard.
Yeah, I don't know how some of these players do it. The fact that they're as entertaining as they are, can engage with chat as well as they can, while simultaneously styling on whoever they're playing against is
crazy.
It's kind of nuts.
It's crazy. Yeah, and I mean, like we live like, it's such a different landscape too. Because yeah, you said you've been doing this for a long time. Like before, that really wasn't an option. I mean, you can make YouTube and stuff, but Twitch wasn't big, so it was like much harder for those players to do something else at the same time, right? Was it like around the Smash 4 era where that started happening more? Like people started going to streaming too as like a second revenue platform?
I would definitely say so, because it definitely wasn't really it was definitely much less of a thing back in the Melee and Brawl days. I say Melee days, but Melee's still going strong these days, but like the earlier Melee days, and just generally a lot of content creation was done on YouTube as a purely informative thing. Like people would do guides or combo videos or what have you, but it wasn't like a way that they would be making their money.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. That's an interesting look into history with that stuff. Yeah, I mean, in general, it's like we've seen. In general, the whole content creation landscape has evolved so much. I mean, like it really, like you on it. I mean, I feel like nowadays people just don't latch onto you if you're not like a personality, right? Like if you're not putting out like videos or streaming or something, right? Like I feel like it's very rare now, right?
Yeah, it's difficult to create a brand if you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Creating a brand is really important in these days.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like that's why. I mean, I feel like especially being. I mean, you don't have to be a crazy personality, but like having people recognize you not just for your plays, but like because they know you. Oh, they know you like this. You don't like this, or you like these kind of games, or if you just focus on one thing. I feel like it's a whole mix, because I feel like I feel like there used to be, if you're only playing competitive games, you are just judged on how you play the game, whereas now at least you can have like, all right, you lost, but at least you could just have like fun on stream or whatever. It's like a balancing thing. Because you said you mainly do your 3D modeling and contract work. So for you, is there do you have like a dream project, like something you'd love to like work on for like a big company, or have you done that, or in your opinion, or what do you think?
Ooh,
what do you think there?
I'm honestly not sure at this point. I feel like as long as I get to work on a project that's fun, that's creatively inspiring, and I get to work with people who are easy to work with and fun to work with, then it's all good, which is essentially what my current work is. So
right. And I was gonna say, like, what's it called? Because I feel like you, especially, whenever I've heard you talk about stuff, or like you know a lot about games, like it's like when it's clear that like when you play a game, you're thinking of how the back end of it is working, right, and how they're animating this, how they're doing that. Do you think that's like hindered or enhanced your experience when you play video games?
Kind of a mix of both,
right?
Because it's like, on the one hand, you get to appreciate when something is done really, really well, just to that extra level. But on the other hand, you can't help but look at the game, or look at a lot of games with a more critical eye.
Right.
So but I'd still say for the most part, if I'm playing a game, I'm primarily doing it for the sake of having a good time,
right,
while also just thinking like, essentially just thinking like, okay, I'm having a good time. What about this is making me have a good time? Or, oh, I'm not really having as much fun as I could be.
Right.
What about this? And why am I not having as much fun as I could be having?
Yeah, because I feel like we all go, like, when you talk about criticizing games, I feel like we go all about it differently. Like, for me, I often think about, like, I'm a big gameplay person. Like, it's like, if the story is great, that's all great. But like for me, it's like the gameplay at its core. If I'm not having like the best time, it's like it's like a gut feeling. But yeah, even for me, like, as someone who like has done a bit of coding and has done like has done some 3D modeling and stuff, it's like, yeah, you definitely can't, but like sometimes be like enraptured by like, holy shit, how do they like pull off that animation so insanely well or whatever. Like, I always feel like Arc System stuff really drives me crazy. I'm just like, how do you do this insane stuff? And I've seen videos about it, and it's like so fascinating when you look at like how they do it, right? Where it's like a 3D model, but they try to make it feel 2D.
Yeah,
it's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So for that kind of stuff, there's so when it comes to what's it called? Is there like, do you ever wanna make your own specific project with stuff, or are you okay with just doing like contract work and other work for others?
I don't really see myself ever being like ever in a director or producer role for a game. At most, I could see myself in a few years. Well, it will take a while. I need a lot more experience. eventually becoming like a lead or a senior animator for a company. I mean, that's kind of a given when you're in, just with how the industry works. When you're in it for a long time, you're gonna be taking on more senior roles over time. So I can definitely see myself in that kind of position, but I don't see myself like being a director for a game or anything like that.
And has any of like what's going on this year affected any work at all, or do you usually work from home anyway?
Surprisingly, it hasn't. I've been very fortunate because I always do all my work remote, so you know, working from home isn't foreign to me.
It's not like that weird. Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because I know it's crazy. It's like for certain people, it's like horrible. For others, it's like this is just like, I mean, obviously, like other than not being able to go to certain places for fun, it's like usually it's just like for content creators and stuff. Most of them are fine. I mean, if anything, it's caught like, especially like for me, like I stream way more than I usually do. I put in more work into the content I'm trying to make, so it's like in some ways it's like benefited me in that sense.
Yeah, and it helps that because obviously a lot more people are staying inside because of quarantine.
More people.
A lot more people just have that time to watch Twitch streams, so a lot of people are just tuning in.
Yeah, exactly. It's no, it's really fascinating with that stuff. And yeah, do you ever think like because you still do you still like to do commentating, so I assume do you think you'd ever do like is there ever like a different fighting game franchise you'd like to do commentary for? Are you okay with just sticking to Smash?
Eventually I'd like to. I mean, it's not a very big game. It's a bit niche, but like not super niche. I'd like to commentate Granblue if just because Granblue Fantasy Versus, if just because I'm having a lot of fun playing that game and learning the game. I've still got a long way to go before I feel confident commentating it, because like I barely scratched the surface in terms of learning the game. So
I feel like I wish that game blew up more than it did, because I feel like I got it and I played it and I felt like no one around me was playing it, so I felt way less like encouraged to play it.
Yeah, it came at an awkward time.
Yeah, it did, right? Well, it also had that weird like staggered release, right, where like it came out in Japan first, then it came out in Europe, then it came out in North America, and then the world went to shit, and then Animal Crossing came and stole every conversation ever. So it's I mean, do you think it's hard to establish like a new 2D fighting? Like, I mean, I know Granblue is not a new IP, but it's a new to fighting game specifically. Do you think it's hard to start a new fighting game IP nowadays? Like, do you think there's like more? Do you think it's too risky to do that?
I don't think so, actually. I think if just because I feel like a lot of the demands of the fighting game community are actually quite simple. Like, if you make a game that looks good, feels good, has rollback netcode, then you're probably already in a good spot.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, loads more people have been picking up the Them's Fighting Herds game in the FGC because, you know, it's featured at Evo and it's got rollback netcode, so
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot that Evo Expo is gonna happen soon. That's gonna be an interesting one. Yeah, it's definitely not like, it's definitely not the same. Like I remember last year was my first Evo, and I'll never forget that like energy, how hype it was, and all that stuff. It's like this one. It's like obviously they're doing the best with what we've got right now, but I hope it comes back next year. I assume it will. I'd say I think like Evo would be the safest of all events. No, I mean not necessarily. I mean like safest of staying alive and not like dying out.
Yeah, I mean as soon as the world opens up more, then it will return.
Right. Do you think do you know, or do you think there are certain like event types that you think like got too screwed by this and won't be able to recover?
It's tough. It's tough for the smaller, more local events. Not like the local events, but like regionals, ones that still require a good number of resources, usually out of the event organizer's pocket. I think it'll be tough for them, but at the same time, there's still been quite a bit going on in the online
Right. Yeah.
community. So people have been trying to keep things alive to the best of their ability. I think there'll definitely be a lot of excitement, and that's actually one of the things. I feel like once offline events return, there's going to be a surge in entrance numbers near the start, just because now we can actually play offline again.
Yeah. People are gonna. Yeah, that's thing. It's like a lot of what's going on is gonna spike interest in stuff once things open up. And I almost feel like obviously like all the big riots and stuff going on, and just people being outside for certain events. If anything, it makes people care less about the whole COVID thing, which is kind of scary. But at the same time, it's like, oh, a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, I guess I can go out. I didn't get sick. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But in terms of other stuff, I see. By the way, like for games, do you like ever? I feel like you're really good at games too. You're out here being games on hard. You're like speedrun them. You're doing all that. So it's like, have you ever do you do that? Have you ever done like a speedrun? Do you do that? Do you just do that for all your games?
I haven't speedrun anything specifically. I think I feel like I've thought about it for a couple of games, but
right. Which ones do you think?
I'm not even sure. It's like, I'm trying to think of a game that I feel like comfortable enough trying to speedrun, because there's still a learning process to try to do a speedrun.
Oh, for sure. I mean, speedrun's hard. Like speedrun, you have to I could not mentally do it. I feel like that would drive me nuts, because you basically have to play the same game over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm willing to play games for a long time, but I always feel like, right, I've played my however many hours in this game. I want to move on to a new one now.
Right, exactly. Well, for you, it's more, I guess you're good at them. Like, you'll beat them on a harder, I think what you beat recently, you beat P5R on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it's crazy. I could not do that. I feel like I'd go crazy.
I will say, the P5R hardest difficulty is easier than the original P5 hardest difficulty.
Right.
Just because they made certain changes to the difficulty itself, and there's just more time to do stuff. But
oh yeah, I guess because they made things that you have way more. Now you can go more out at night and stuff like that. It's fun. Are there any other games you were really proud of that you beat on hard difficulties, or you 100% or whatever?
Let me think. I'm glad that I 100%ed Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh yeah,
that was fun.
I was I couldn't believe it, because man, because that hard mode is mean. I feel like that hard mode. I feel like there should have been a hard and extreme mode, because not being able to not only use your potions but also benches don't heal your MP. I feel like I was that is mean. That's
yeah. You have to be really mindful of your resources in that. I'm close-ish to 100. Well, I've 100%ed Xenoblade 2 before, and I'm close to 100%ing the definitive edition as well.
Also, what were you gonna say?
The last things I need to do in that game are just kind of tedious stuff.
Right.
So it's can I be asked to do this?
Do I have to do this? As well.
So I don't really want to die and revive my ally
Jesus Christ.
1,000 times just to get an achievement.
That's an achievement? Oh my god.
It's an achievement in game.
That sounds horribly frustrating. Oh my god, no thank you. I'm good. That's why I'm really glad Nintendo games don't have an actual achievement system, because I'd just go crazy. I'd feel I'd have to 100% them if that was the case. But I usually get at least I try to get the ones in Smash. The ones in the game I'll try to get. But yeah, so that's really cool with that stuff. And because I didn't get to ask you, how do you? Because we haven't had a Japan time since. Have you enjoyed the definitive edition?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Xenoblade, the original Xenoblade, is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's definitely showed some signs of age.
Oh, for
even
sure.
with the changes that were made for. Not many changes were made for definitive edition outside of the visuals.
Right.
The UI changes are really nice, but yeah, it's still a fantastic game. Story's great. The world's amazing. Cool gameplay is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me playing, I feel like I'm having a great time with it. I'm on chapter 13, so I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But even I feel like it's seen its age. I feel like Xenoblade 2 like was so for me much more like enjoyable to play. The gameplay has way more systems. It's more enjoyable to do the chain attacks in that game. They're like insanely fun. The story is just more like, I feel like it's way more maybe anime style that I really like, but I'm still enjoying DE. It's really good. It's really good in there. And yes, I like to, what's it called? To ask these, just to usually wrap these up, I'll ask 2 questions. First of all, you gotta ask me a question.
Ooh, let me think. What is a good question to ask? What was your favorite game from the PS5 conference thing?
Ooh, I can't wait till we talk about that. But I think my standout for me was Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank looked insane. Like Spider-Man looks amazing, but like Ratchet and Clank just looks like stunning. Like visually, the demo looked insane. It was like a really good showcase too for like obviously because they've been touting this SSD and how fast it can load things. Like obviously they did that on purpose to show specifically the scene where he's transitioning from like planet to planet.
Yeah,
that was like amazing stuff. And as soon as that girl Ratchet came out, I was like, I know what's gonna happen on the internet. The second she popped up,
the fan artists got their tablets out ready and waiting.
Ready, dude. Always for that stuff. What was your favorite?
Ratchet and Spidey were definitely up there. I didn't play the first one, but the trailer for Horizon 2 was really, really cool.
It's amazing, yeah. I'll definitely pick it up on, because I know it's coming to PC, the first one. I'll definitely try it out there. It's gonna be really good. And I can do like 2 more usually. No, I asked 2. Yeah, never mind. Technically, I asked 3. What do you see yourself doing 5 years from now? I don't like to go 10 because that's like really weird future stuff. But 5, what do you think?
God, I'm gonna be 30.
You'll be 30, Jesus Christ.
Then, but
I'll be 29, so it's not that far off.
I honestly, I see myself doing more of what I'm doing now. Just I guess
bigger and better, basically.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, I mean, it's exciting. You're working on like a big game that was just like shown at a PS5 event, so that's like really cool. And more eyes are on it, I'm sure now, more than before.
Yeah,
it's exciting. That's exciting stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to check it out. Yeah, I mean, I love the Hyper Life Jitter. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm excited for this. I need to check this out. This is gonna be cool. All right, so cool. You see yourself doing that. And then the last thing I usually ask is there someone you would recommend to have on here, like someone you think has like a good story, has like a good vibe, and that would be a good interview person, I guess.
Who you had on here before?
So I've had Roger, I've had Heavenly Controller, I've had a girl, someone I know, Maria DBZ. I had a voice actress, Lizzie Ray, Miss Moonified, and another person called Mugen Dio. Maybe you know her, I don't know.
I know Mugen.
You know exactly. Yeah. So that's then there's you. You're episode 6.
I would say,
Dun, dun.
I would say McDareth.
Oh, McDareth? I want to get McDareth. Yeah. I want to nerd out about Sonic with him. He's my guy for that. Yeah, I'll get on McDareth. I was gonna do that at some point anyway, so might as well. All right, cool, man. Well, I think then that wraps up. So, thank you for coming. Plug your shit. Where can people find you?
You can find me primarily on Twitter and Twitch at VIRUM_SD, VIRUM_SD. Those are my main platforms. Oh, you can also find me on Instagram. I haven't posted on Instagram for ages since I haven't really had anything to post. Yeah.
My Twitter for now, right now, you'll never know because it switches all the time, is on the down low though with no W. Obviously with me, I feel like I have a Twitter account every 2 to 3 months, I would say. That's kind of the way if I go with. But all right, so anyways, thank y'all for watching, and we will see you all next time. Peace out. Thank you, VIRUM, for coming.
It was a pleasure, my man.
Peace, and we'll see you, and hopefully we'll talk more on Japan time and stuff anyway.
Yeah, take care, brother.
Peace out.